You're listening to Communities Live on Sheffield Live Radio 93.2 FM with me, Susie Casson, and T-Boy. And we're joined in the studio by James Wilson, who is the sleep geek, sleep expert. Welcome, James.
Good afternoon.
So you're a sleep expert and a sleep ambassador. What does that mean exactly?
So as an expert, I'm a behaviour and environment expert. So I help people with their behaviours around sleep. So what they're doing before they go to bed in particular, but also what they're doing during the day. And then I'm looking at what the room we sleep in, the products we sleep on and under. Just trying to take an individual and try and create a sleep programme that's right for them. And I work with sort of from individuals. I work with companies, like sort of corporate work. I work with sports people. So I'm also trying to raise the awareness of sleep. So how the ambassador part is about raising awareness. So I work with companies, normally products or companies that I like, who've got the same ethos as me around sleep, and we're trying to get sleep on the health agenda, because often we see health as being about nutrition and exercise. Massively these two things are pushed, and when we have bad health, it's often blamed on these things. But sleep is the foundation that health is built on. It affects your mental well-being, it affects your physical well-being, and very quickly, 4 or 5 days of bad sleep, our bodies start to react in a different way, and our ability to absorb food, how we absorb food, how our body clock works, because the sleep cycle is connected to the body clock, and the body clock is connected to our digestive system and our reproductive system and sort of our heart and all our main organs. Sleep has a massive impact on our overall health, and so my job is to try and help us all sleep better and also raise awareness of sleep issues.
Yeah, and as you say, we don't really talk about it enough, do we, to each other? We talk about what we eat, but to your friends, you'd hardly mention sleep.
It's interesting. Yeah. Sleep is probably where exercise and nutrition were 20, 30 years ago. So people are starting to realise, and as a medical discipline, so if you've got a GP or you've got someone who's gone through a medical training, they don't really do sleep as part of that. It's sort of touched on in lots of different subjects, but there's no sleep module. There's nothing that really helps them understand sleep and how it's connected to lots and lots of different conditions. And sometimes that's quite worrying. We present to our health professionals with sleep problems, whether it's our children or whether it's us as adults or our parents, and they don't really know what to do. And it sometimes becomes a battle of wills, and that's really disappointing, because it has a massive impact on our lives, a lack of sleep. But yet we sort of, when we go for help, often the help's not there.
Yeah, absolutely. So when did you first become interested in sleep?
Well, I'm interestingly a child of the sleep industry. So my grandpa had a company in Rotherham called Duckers, who manufactured beds and mattresses. Mm-hmm. And in fact, my dad's claim to fame is that he invented the cabin bed. So he took a bunk bed, took out the bottom bunk and put a settee in. So I've always been around sleep products, and I was an insomniac as a teenager in particular. I just couldn't sleep. I used to stay up all night. I listened to talk radio, and I thought it was normal. I never went for medical advice, and I took that into my university years. And then sort of mid-20s, I thought I need to do something about this, and started training. Started trying to solve my own problem. After doing that, I then wanted to help other people, so I trained as a sleep practitioner with the Children's Sleep Charity, who are a charity based in Tickhill in Doncaster, and then I did some training around adults. And as a sleep sort of practitioner, I'm quite unique in that I work from cradle to grave. So I work with parents to be to older adults, particularly sports people, professionals and things like that. So I see how sleep affects us at every point in our lives.
So can you just outline for us, James, the main benefits of getting a good night's sleep?
It is amazing what different sleep has. It's sort of thing where if I told you there was a pill that did all the things sleep does, which is diminish sort of your chances of heart disease. If you've got anything, sort of any conditions like any cancers, you're more likely to recover from them if you're having a good night's sleep. Mental health-wise, you're less likely to suffer from things like depression. If you are genetically predisposed to conditions such as bipolar or schizophrenia, a good night's sleep helps those conditions. Alzheimer's and dementia, less likely to suffer from it. Massive impact if you have less than about 5 hours or more than about 11. Our health really starts to degenerate. So you really start to see the impact, and you won't live as long. Conditions sort of like things like erectile dysfunction, massively affected by our ability to sleep. So really, our ability to live longer, more fulfilling lives sleep has a direct impact on that.
Yeah, just about everything.
That's it. Yeah. So it's a foundation that our health is built on. Has a massive impact on everything.
Mm. And you mentioned insomnia, James. That's different from just having a few bad nights, isn't it?
It is. Sort of there's different classifications of insomnia. So a few bad nights would be sort of an intermittent insomnia. You have acute insomnia, which is a couple of weeks, where it might be you've got a big presentation coming up at work, or you might have just been made redundant, or a big life event that has impacted, and you're not sleeping for a couple of weeks. Then you have chronic insomnia, which is years and years of not sleeping, which is what I went through in my teenage years. And it's sleep deprivation is different to insomnia. So sleep deprivation is what happens when you have insomnia, but it's also what happens when you have conditions like sleep apnea or narcolepsy, or you have a child, And those conditions can then create insomnia because you learn the behaviour of not falling to sleep, of worrying about sleep. But actually, insomnia is the inability to fall asleep and the inability to maintain sleep. So are you struggling to get sleep, and are you waking up a lot during the night?
So can you give us a few tips about how we can all sleep better?
I can. I think the thing we all do really badly is go to bed when we're not tired, which seems weird. So as a practitioner, one of my main tools is sleep deprivation. So if I'm working with someone who maybe goes to bed at 10 and doesn't fall asleep till 2, then I would say your sleep time is 2 o'clock. That's the time you should be going to bed. So we try and get you to spend less time in bed, tossing and turning, and more time in bed sleeping. We then move it forward, so we then make your bedtime 1:30, 1, and to a time that is more appropriate for you. So I think we often, especially on Sunday nights, we think, well, I've had a late-in last 2, and I'm a bit tired. I'll go to bed early because I've got work tomorrow, and it never works. So actually, feel sleepy. Learn what sleepy feels like, not tired. So if you're sleep deprived, you're always tired. If you're sleepy, it's that feeling where you're sort of drifting off. Your eyes are closing. You're feeling sleep coming. That's sleepy, and that's when you should be going to bed. Not, well, it's 10 o'clock. I should be going to bed now. And that applies to everyone. That applies to our kids, teenagers in particular. Teenagers. Our body clocks change when we're teenagers, and we want to go to bed later and get up later. So don't force your teenagers to go to bed at 10 o'clock. They probably should be going to bed at 10:30 at the earliest, and some of them might be 12, 12:30. So that's one thing we do badly, and waking up at the same time every day. And this is the one that, when I'm working with people, they have this sort of, oh no. Because I'm saying at the weekend, you need to get up at the same time as you do during the week. If you don't, it creates like a jet lag effect in your body. Your body then, it has an internal drive to sleep. So sleep is governed by the light and the dark, temperature, and also an internal drive. If you go to bed, if you get up later on the weekend, actually your internal drive gets pushed later. So we really give ourselves a sort of that jet lag effect. So the reason you don't sleep on a Sunday night often is because we've created a jet lag type effect in our bodies, and Monday morning is awful to get up. So yeah, the two things, both ends of the day: go to bed when you're sleepy, and wake up at the same time every day.
Excellent advice. I'm going to try that. So what kind of people come to you for advice, James?
I think it's across the spectrum. So I work with parents-to-be. I work a lot with children because I still work with the Children's Sleep Charity. I work with teenagers in particular because that was when my sleep really got bad, and I think teens are often misunderstood around sleep. We say they're lazy. But I also work with, I'm working with a local company, Westfield Health, who are creating a health and wellbeing sort of offering for companies to offer a bit of sleep advice. So the thing with sleep is because we can't access it very well through the National Health Service. They're not going to find the money all of a sudden with the cuts that are happening within the NHS. So Westfield Health, obviously a charitable organisation that offers health insurance. We're trying to develop a way of giving members of staff free sleep advice. So the companies basically pay for it, and we help people understand their sleep better. So that's quite an interesting way of doing it, because it's only an hour and a half. We talk about the basics of sleep, but you have a real impact on the way people sleep, and they start changing their behaviours around sleep and understanding their own sleep type, because we're all different. A lot of the sleep advice we get is very generic. It's have 8 hours. It's don't drink caffeine after 3. It's this sort of very generic advice that might not apply to you. And what I want to do is try and help people understand their own sleep, and therefore they can help themselves better. And not my intervention then can be for people who really have got chronic insomnia or are suffering from narcolepsy or sleep apnea. So I'm working with sort of quite significant sleep disorders, and the general stuff, we're helping people understand themselves better and get better sleep.
Yeah, and as you say, it changes over the course of a lifetime, doesn't it?
Undoubtedly, yeah. And you get some myths across the lifetime. So you'll get older people are told you need less sleep as you get older. Not really true. From about 24, 25, our sleep need stays the same. Our body's ability to sustain sleep gets worse because we've got aches and pains, and we've got creaky joints, and we've got things like that wake us up. But actually, we need the same amount of sleep. So if your health professional is telling you it's part of, if you're getting 3-4 hours a night and they're telling you it's part of your age, it isn't. And that often we get that with children. They might be 2, 3 and they're struggling to sleep. Well, it's part of them growing up. It's not always the case, and I take the approach of understanding a little bit more what might be causing it.
So what do you find most challenging about being a sleep geek?
I think it is that thing where everyone's different. So every time I work with a new person, it's a different story and it's a different approach. A lot of sleep experts aren't regulated. So you have a lot of sort of people who they might have sold some mattresses to a football club. That makes them a sleep expert and they're going to start giving you sleep advice. That's worrying. And sometimes because that approach means that they take a very prescriptive approach. So it's sort of everyone gets the same advice. I like to start with who are you as an individual. That can be difficult, sometimes. And sometimes it's getting people to actually understand that there's no magic pill. Sleeping pills don't work. There's no thing that we can do that I can say to you, here, take this and you will sleep better. It's actually what we do as individuals that makes a difference. Getting people to understand that can be difficult because often when I'm working with them, they're at their most sleep deprived. And sleep deprivation leads to it does lead to mental health issues. It leads to physical exhaustion. And you're saying to them, actually, this is going to get worse before it gets better. And a lot of my role is coaching and counselling. I'm helping people through something that's quite difficult, but on the other side, it's sort of green fields and blue skies where sleep is sorted. And as someone who's been through that journey, it gives me a real insight into how hard it can be. But I also know what it feels like at the other end to start getting better sleep and how it makes you feel.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, what do you enjoy most about being a sleep expert?
It is help. I think anyone who does this sort of role, whatever sort of health professional you are, it is helping people. It's also a discipline that's very new. So I'm getting to sort of, sometimes you are trying things, with people, and you are trying to solve someone's problem. My first career was as an entrepreneur and as someone who built companies, and often the skills you need are the same. You're trying to solve a problem and you're trying to sort of get round how do we get this problem sorted, and it's that's the real sort of the real benefit I get, and helping as many people as possible. I want to help as many people as possible sleep better. I have a sleep manifesto. I'm trying to change the way as a society we look at sleep. It's how we how schools work, how companies work, how the products we use are developed, and it's also us as individuals. What responsibility do we have for our sleep? So if you're going to bed and you're looking at your phone in the 10 minutes before you drop off and you're struggling to sleep, then that's your responsibility. You probably know you need to stop doing it and actually take the action and do it.
If someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
So I am the Sleep Geek, so I have a website, thesleepgeek.co.uk. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,